Welcome back to Ready, Set, Sold. I'm your host, Bryan Vogt, and as I mentioned in our first segment, we have a special guest today, and that's Larry McQueen of Carpet Care Plus. How you doing, Larry?
Doing great, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And one of the reasons I really wanted to have Larry on here is, yes, during the season, whether you're selling your house or not, it's always a great time to get your carpets done and getting that fresh smell in there. But it's really, when you're looking to sell your house, it's so important that you have someone that's an expert that can come in and get the carpets cleaned. And one of the things that we talk about a lot, and I put it in the book, is that 3 to 7 years is a good path. And so your carpeting, if it's older than 7 years, depending on how you treated it, it may be time to go. And so you want an expert to be able to tell you that, and that could be in the carpet cleaning. But also the pet smells. We all have, our pets, or not everybody, but cats and dogs and what have you. And many times we can't, as sellers, we just can't smell that. We don't know that. And just the fact of having, buyers see the pets, they make assumptions that may or may not be true, but this business is all about perception versus reality. And they perceive there's something with the carpeting. So getting your carpeting cleaned before you put your house on the market is such a winning idea. And Larry, I'm sure you've got some other things that you can talk about that when they're looking for a carpet cleaner that they should be aware of.
Yes. First off, you want to make sure they're IICRC certified, which means they're with the Institute of the Carpet and Rug Society, which is basically headed by the people that make the carpet, Mohawk, Shaw, all the major manufacturers that certify us. And we go every 2 years. You have to go to a professional training course for that to keep your certifications and add to it and all. And if they have that, then you know that they've been trained on that type of fiber that you have, especially when it comes to pet issues. And I can tell you from my experience, you said that carpets it's important, is because think of it, when you sell your car, what do you do first? You wash it, you wax it, you make it look nice so it catches the eye of the buyer when they walk in the door. And it's the same thing with carpets. When they walk into your home to buy it, and the first thing they see is a bunch of spots or smell the odor of a pet, you're going to turn off 50% of the people right away. Or like you, as you know, Brian, they're going to ask for a carpet allowance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it's important to get the carpets cleaned because it presents the house in the best picture possible. And I know that the best thing to do is when you call in a professional is, if I see a carpet is past its life cycle, I'm going to let them know that right up front, because we want to make sure we meet the expectations of the customer. And so we ask them a lot of questions when we get in there of what type of usage has been on there, what type of spills are on the carpet, so that we can use the proper enzyme product to remove those spots from it.
And what I love about that, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's something else that can be done too that's really new to the industry. It's called Color Clean. And what that is, Brian, is that we actually use a separate machine and we add dye back into the carpet to match the current color, because every year you lose about 2% to fading on your carpets. And what we can do on certain carpets is come in there, if they still have life left in them, and put a little color back into them, which will bring back the luster and the shine of the carpet also.
Wow, I love that, because that could be a situation, if you're borderline, that maybe you have a situation of being able to save those carpeting, which is going to save serious money to a seller, and it's going to make the buyers happier. And wow, I love that. I think
and also what we can do, Brian, is we can dye spot areas. So say, for instance, there's one bleach spot. I know that some of the different detergents out there have some oxidizers in them, or maybe your toilet bowl cleaner, and they got a little bit spilled in the hallway coming down it. We can take those bleach spots out because we have a system to match the carpet color to its current color based on its fading, and actually re-dye those areas back. So you don't even have to do the whole carpet. We can just do spots, and therefore it won't catch the eye of the buyer when they're coming through the door to see a big bleach spot in the middle of the hallway, because you know they're going to ask for new carpet then. And if you haven't priced it lately, it can run you anywhere from $300 on up for just one room of carpet. So it does pay off to dye spot stuff.
And that creates a problem on itself, and maybe for another time. But if you only do one room and the other rooms aren't, you're going to eventually probably be replacing the whole carpeting. So that solves a major problem that you have, and I love that. One thing I did want to go back to that I think is really important that you mentioned, and that is the person. We've already talked about the reasons. You can get a faster sale. You get the smell of the fresh carpeting. You actually see those. Look, it may sound crazy to some sellers, but when you see those marks on the carpeting that it's been cleaned, they love that. Buyers love that. They know that things have been taken care of. It's a well-maintained home. But going back to what you said that I think is so important, and one of the reasons why I wanted you to have on the program, there are unfortunately some carpet cleaning companies that will go nameless that come in and they don't care one iota. They're there to clean the carpeting and not solve the problem. And so you always want to make sure when you're selecting a carpet cleaner that, maybe the carpeting just needs to be cleaned, but maybe it needs to be replaced, and to save you not only time and money, but also aggravation that you're going to have to wind up replacing anyway. I think that is so key, Larry, that you mentioned.
Yes.
I think that's something that people should be aware of.
Yes, because the key there, like I said, is our first goal is always the customer satisfaction. And we treat every home like it's ours. So if we come in there and we see that it was a 5-year stain-resistant carpet and it's at 15 or 20 years, it's time to probably replace it. If there's fiber missing or they're complaining because there's a big dip in the middle of the carpet, that pad has worn away. So therefore, cleaning the carpet's not going to resolve that issue. So we like to do it based on the fact that we're going to look at everybody's carpet, and we're not trying to upsell. My professional cleaners don't do that. We look at the carpet, and we're not upselling anything. We're downselling a lot of times because we're saying don't clean it, replace it. And we don't do that, so therefore we're out of the picture. So we don't get anything out of it other than making sure that customer's happy and the realtor that's the seller and buyer, because on both ends they don't want to be upset about the carpet at the end of the deal.
Absolutely. And the time we have remaining, too, I think it's also important. There's what is called a final walkthrough. If you sold a house, you might be aware of it. That's changed dramatically, though, is now there's actually a signature involved, meaning is the buyer, either that day of closing or the day or two beforehand, literally has to sign something and sign off that the house is in good working order. And I know, Larry, we talked about, again, off air, but you have some stories of people that didn't make those changes, didn't do the right thing. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and it led into some serious problems, timing-wise especially.
Oh, yes. I've had calls in the middle of the day during the closing of a house where they decided only to clean 5 out of the 6 rooms because they thought one was good. And then through the final walkthrough, they identified the other additional room, so we had to run over there and send a crew over there real quick to take care of that room for them so they could close. Or the other one would be they put a rug and covered up a spot, and then when they moved out through the walkthrough, there's this big spot in the middle of the floor that was covered by a rug before, and so therefore we've had to come in and take care of that for people too.
And just we're running out of time, and that's such a great thing. Is trying to hide things, and most sellers don't do that, underneath couches, stuff like that. But if you know you have that problem, that's even more of a reason to be able to get someone like Larry Carpet Care Plus out there to identify it and see where you're at, so that at closing, because I will tell you a very quick story. It doesn't happen often, but we've had buyers actually walk out and refuse to actually close on the house. And that became Panic City, and it finally got resolved, but it was days later, and a lot of turmoil and a lot of anger and angst that went into that too. So if you have even any question at all, get a carpet cleaner in there. Carpet Plus is fantastic, or you have someone else, but get a professional in there to take care of it. With that said, Larry, thank you so much for your expertise. I greatly appreciate it. We're about out of time, and we'll be going on to the next segment.